On today's episode of Watch Chair Go, my cheap Jeep is back. I'm never gonna hear the end of this one. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Chair Go, and like I said, we are here with my 2000 Jeep Grand Cherokee, this crazy clean Cherokee, and it's broke. I know I made an entire video talking about you should replace the engine with a cheap used engine instead of buying like a new one or rebuilding the engine or anything like that. But basically, as soon as I took this thing out for the first drive, I noticed a new puddle on the ground. The water pump was weeping out of the weep hole. Now, it's no big deal. I know people are gonna blow up the comments saying if you would have rebuilt the engine, that wouldn't have happened, but still, $800 and a $33 water pump or $3,000. Still only makes sense the way I did it, and that will never change. But today, we're gonna have to put a water pump in this Jeep. That's the only reason it hasn't left yet, because I can't sell it with the water leak that it has. I just don't trust it going down the road. It's not really much of a leak. There might be a couple of drips down there, but still, when it gets hot, it starts to drip, and I don't need this thing breaking on the next owner. So today, we are gonna run to O'Reilly's, buy a water pump. I'm sure they have the thing in stock because, of course, it's the 4-liter, and I would have just swapped to this one, but you know, that's what was in the cooling system before we replaced everything. We're gonna go grab another water pump, throw it in here. It shouldn't take long, and it's right on the front of the engine, and I think the part's 33 bucks. So let's head over to O'Reilly's now. All right, we are here at O'Reilly's. I didn't call or see if they actually had the part. I just hope they do. Pretty sure it's a cheap Jeep. They should have those parts. All right, we have a thermostat housing, a thermostat, a water pump, and a little drain tub to make this a lot easier because we're gonna reuse all this coolant. So load this thing up in the Angry Altima and get out of here. Also, Tyler Potter, the Jeep God, said those housings break all the time, so I figured I might as well buy it just in case. Letting it run for a second, so hopefully we can actually see that leak. It also kind of sounds like a failing water pump, just a little bit. I don't see anything leaking yet. There's our leak. Not that one, that's from me, but this one, as soon as I shut the engine off, it started dripping. It's created a mess underneath it already. We got the radiator drained down, we got the cooling fan out. Now it's time to pull the accessory drive belt off, pull this water pump off, and make sure that it's actually leaking from the weep hole, which is where I think it's coming from. Water pump's off. That only took a few minutes, just like I expected. Honestly, draining the radiator and getting the fan out is the longest part of that job. Here is the factory water pump, a Chrysler water pump, but you can see it had been weeping out of the weep hole for a very long time, and it was already wet there too, and also I think it was wet down here as well. It's probably just a bad gasket, honestly. The gasket itself looks really nasty around the race where it fits inside there. All we need to do now is pop off this clamp. I'm going to reuse it, and pop off this tube and put it on the new one, reinstall the water pump. Shouldn't take long at all. I just have to clean up the mating surface on the engine. Well, I made a big mess, but we got her clean. I'm ready to stick the new water pump on with a new gasket, but first take a look at that. That is the cylinder lining itself there, and they like kind of cast it and then mill that back off so the water pump actually fits right there. The water pump is that close to the piston wall. Pretty crazy, Jeep. Kind of a cool design. While I was in there cleaning, I also noticed the belt tensioner was... So alright, I'll go grab the tensioner off the other one. It doesn't make any noise at all. Finishing up the fun here, the new bracket's on. Much better than that one that was right here. Here's the old one. You can tell that bearing was toast, so it wasn't long for this world. Anyway, new bracket's on, alternator's going back on, then the water pump's going back on, and all this is going back together. Yeah, whatever. I fixed a whole bunch of stuff at once. And that bracket wasn't even on the to-do list. So, let's wrap this thing up. Hopefully it doesn't take more than a few minutes. I lost all my sockets. that's it. We're down to the last few seconds. The accessory belt's back on. Obviously, the idler pulley, the tensioner pulley has been replaced. The whole bracket. All we have to do now is slide in the E-fan again, hook up the power to it, put in this last radiator hose, and hook up the battery. So give me about 1 more minute, and we'll have this thing wrapped up, ready to vacuum fill the coolant. And we saved all the coolant this time. I finally went and washed the Jeep. I took it to the car wash, drove it around for 30 minutes or so. The temp's perfect. It stays dead on the money around. It kind of floats between, 203 and 213 when the fan kicks on, I think. And when it's just sitting there idling, it's great to drive. The heat works great. And then I knew I forgot something else that was important. It was putting the charge back in the AC. So it's on the vacuum pump right now. I'm gonna give it, 15 minutes on the pump, leak check it, charge it, and it's finally done. Finally done. There's nothing worse than when you get something completely wrapped up and you're trying to get it out of the shop and then you're like, oh, the water pump. So at least we got that straightened out today, and I got to finally take it for a real drive, put some gas in it. The gas in it smelled pretty old, so it's coming back to life. And I think this red looks really good clean. Obviously it could use a real detail, but just blasting it off the car wash real quick made it look red again. I forgot to shoot an outro before I got the Jeep out of here. Anyway, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjericho.com where you get cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. And I will talk to you next time when we're back on that XC90, finishing up that cooling system. Seems like that's all I do. Anyway, we're going to get that done shortly. And then we're going to trade that thing for something cool. I don't know what.